91.7 WVXU, HD2 radio station, or you're listening to us live on radioartifact.com. This is the Nomtombout Radio show. Back again for another week. It's Wednesday. You made it through half the week without punching your boss again. Congratulations. Just go ahead and hold out. We got another show for you today, so we appreciate you tuning in. Again, my name is Six. Vibe is out, but he'll be back next week. But I do have a couple guests here today. And today we got an issue that's kind of prevalent. It happened in my life. So we're just going to talk about some issues. Today we got a couple guests. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. We got a returning guest and a first-time guest. So go ahead. Which one of y'all want to go first?
Me? Oh. My name is Dominique.
Here you go.
Oh, in the mic?
Yeah.
My name is Dominique. What else? What you want to know?
Just like a little bit about yourself, where you come from here in the city.
I live in Wyoming, so I know some people say that's not the city. Born and raised here. What?
I said they got a police station there in the city.
Thank
That's
you.
They got a police station there in the city.
Yeah.
Been here most of my life. I'm a nurse, single mom.
Okay. All right. So that's kind of introducing our topic today. But go ahead. I almost said your name.
It's me again. I'm back.
Talking to that mic for me.
It's me. I'm back. Center stage. Rodnika. I'm here. I'm in here. Hey.
What's going on to people out there? Appreciate y'all tuning in, listening. Today our subject is we're gonna talk about single parenting. Just I guess maybe a little bit of the cause and effects of single parenting, where that leads even further down the road into the kids' mentality or even their kids' mentality. So we're just gonna talk about it a little bit. You guys are both single mothers, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. But you guys have a unique standpoint because the stereotype is that women who are single parents a lot of times put their kids' fathers on child support, which neither you have done, right?
I have not done yet, but I'm in the process.
Okay.
I haven't and probably won't.
Explain your standpoint a little bit. Maybe for a single woman, a woman that's out there looking to, maybe she got her family talking about you need to put him on child support. She don't know whether to do it or not. It's a confusing point because it just can be confusing, I would guess.
Yeah.
Kind of, what would you say to her, or give them a little bit of your standpoint where you come from and why you made your decision?
I made my decision because I just don't have the energy to fight it. There's so many other things that I have to do that whether or not you choose to step up and financially support your child is not my issue. Regardless, I'm still going to have a mortgage to pay and a car note. My child is still going to have what he needs and most of what he wants. I don't have it in me to argue over a couple $100s a month. But I am able to financially provide for my son without his help. So whether or not he chooses to do it or not, which he consistently has recently chosen to, I don't have the fight in me to pursue that. There's other things and other issues that we can talk about and discuss and he's not missing anything. So I guess because I am sufficiently able to care for him financially, I don't press the issue.
Okay. So in your particular case, I'm guessing monetarily, you have a surplus to provide,
right. So
it's not that big of a, I'm not gonna say that big of a hit, but you can do it on your own.
Right.
And Rodnika, what about you?
Well, I have 4 children, so with me at first I was like, I'll never put them on child support because same thing. I'm like, at the end of the day, you can't force somebody to do something. So it's like, you're going to take care of the kid or you're not. I'm going to figure it out regardless. But what I've learned, and more recently with the twins, is that when you don't hold people accountable, sometimes you're stuck with the dead weight. And it's not to say that taking care of your kids is a dead weight, but at the end of the day, that's still their responsibility. That's like if you were a landlord, and even though you could probably say you had a tenant that was like, well, I ain't gonna pay the rent for 3 months. Like, even though you probably have the money to take care of that bill yourself,
Yeah.
there's still accountability there. And it's like, we went into an agreement when we decided to have this child together.
Mm-hmm.
So if we decided to have this child together, then I should not be the only one busting my ass to make sure that this kid is taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm at a point now where I'm in the process of like going forward with child support. But, you know, my oldest is 14. Her dad was never on child support. Isaiah's dad was not on child support, but they provide for the most part. Well, no, I ain't even gonna lie. They do. They do here and there. Like, they do here and there.
Enough.
And I noticed that I wouldn't even say enough. They do whatever. Yeah, like, and I always picked up the slack, but I also feel like it's not even fair to my kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, that I have to give everything I have to make sure that they're good, and at the end of the day, it ain't a lot left over. Like, or hold on, boo, we can't go out to eat this week because I don't got it. Whereas if that other parent was taking responsibility and doing what they were supposed to do, then we would.
I guess my thing is we already have enough issues to argue about. If I understand, like, you being accountable, and I may mention it, but I'm not going to harp on it. If I've said it once, if I've said it twice, and we've already discussed it this month, and it still ain't there, I'm not going to call you every day until it gets there. I'm not going to call you every week because we already have had enough issues just trying to both be parents. The one thing I've figured out is
Get up on that mic a little bit for me. Or you can pull it towards you if you need.
Their relationship does not work without me. So I have to be willing to be a participant in order to facilitate that relationship. And if I'm upset or angry or frustrated about other issues, then that blocks me from allowing them to have their relationship. So as many things that I can remove from that equation and not be a roadblock so that they can still have their relationship is how I look at it.
Right.
I don't want to argue about the same thing over and over again. I don't want to have the same conversations over and over again.
It can be mentally taxing.
It is, and it's draining, and I already have enough on my plate. So we can talk about it, we can have a discussion about it. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I know that for me, I have to come into that situation mentally prepared to be able to have conversations with him that are productive so that he can still have a relationship with our son.
Well, let's my bad, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so if you were to do the child support and then it's court ordered, then if he doesn't pay, he just doesn't pay. Well, why do you feel like, I'm just asking, why do you feel like you won't even, why do you feel like you won't take the step to put him on child support? You feel like it'll cause too many arguments?
Not that it would cause too many arguments. I just feel like as an adult, you understand what your responsibilities are. I'm not your parent. I don't have to tell you what you are accountable for, what your responsibility is. Whether or not you choose to step up on your own and be a father and a dad to your child, that's your business and your responsibility. I'm not going to remind you of it on a daily or monthly basis. You either do it or you don't. I'm in my lane, focused on what I have to do.
Right.
So I understand holding someone accountable for something and that you entered into this agreement together when you decided to have a child. But I also don't feel like I need to go in front of a judge for them to tell me or tell my child's father when he can see him, how often he can see him, which weekend, which holiday, how much he's supposed to pay. I know how much my bills are and what I need to do to maintain my household. I know what he needs to do. I also know that I want my son to be just as comfortable with him as he is at home with me. And so because I know that, and I know there's a discrepancy between how much we make and what it takes to maintain his household and what it takes to maintain mine, if he gives $300 this month, great. If he gives $150 this month, okay, we're still going to survive and make it. So we've had conversations about just being good parents and whatever that means to him. I know what it means to me to be a good mother. So if he chooses to take his responsibility financially, that's on him. I don't I personally don't feel like you should have to go in front of someone and then tell you and dictate to you what it means to be a good parent and how much you have to pay to be a good parent and how much time you get to have with your child. I feel like two adults, for the benefit of a child, should be able to come together and figure that out amongst themselves.
It's a real big wedge in a small, intimate thing.
Yeah.
Like, you breaking apart. Family, like, I heard somebody say, family court never has brought a family together.
No.
Like, so, one thing I was thinking about is the relationship part. It's a monetary part, and then it's a relationship part. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of all the same, because your money is like a paper representation of your time. Yeah. To a certain degree. So, I feel like in my case, my mom was a single parent. I feel like I came out better not having the guy who could have been in my life there on a consistent basis, me picking up his habits. What do you think about that? Sometimes being a single parent, yes, it's you sacrifice the balance, but the balance of what? Because I feel like if my dad was in my life on a consistent basis, I probably would have went down a path or stayed away from certain stuff. I feel like he would have encouraged certain things because of certain things that he was doing that weren't great or good.
I agree.
I think it's trying and taxing on that one parent that has, if there's no time there, well, it's like, then the one parent who is taking on that sole responsibility when it wasn't meant for only one parent to take on that responsibility, it's taxing on them, and then they can get downtrodden, and then it's like you have to always, we talked about this on other podcasts, have time for self-care. But so many mothers put all of their energy into their kids and making sure their kids are great that they don't have time for themselves, and that's in the long run detrimental to the child.
Right.
Because number one, it doesn't teach the child to take care of self, because they're like, well, my mama always was taking care of her, like, well, I gotta do this, I have to do that, I have to make sure everybody else is good. You gotta also show your kids, like, you come first regardless, like, you come first at the end of the day, like. And I just
oh, sorry.
Go ahead. It's okay.
I'll say I don't think so, because if I'm not okay, then he's not okay. That's like when you're in a marriage. If you don't take care of your marriage, then how can you take care of the kids? I can't do anything until I take care of me first. But I also have a support system that existed that loved and cared and protected and provided for me before I was a mom. So without the attachment of my child. So my parents, my grandparents, my sister, they'll ask me, "Are you okay?
Right?
Do you need a break?" And I think it is hard if I were doing everything that I had to do completely and solely on, like, I had no one to call and say I need a break. Yeah, I just want to take a bath.
Yeah,
and just sit here or sit and do nothing. Like, if I had no one to help me, that is very taxing, and I don't think it's meant for one person to raise a child. They say it takes a village, but I don't think that village is just there for that child, but also there for those parents and the support of everybody.
I agree.
So
we were just talking like humans are electromagnetic beings. So really these relationships that we have is really like living, breathing organisms. It's like the internet. How many people are you connected to on your internet?
And you have to have connections as a mammal, as a human being on the basic level of biology.
Yeah.
Without the intervention of science, a man and a woman have to be together to procreate. Yeah. You have to have another being.
Yeah. Right.
Just on a cellular level. You cannot exist without coexisting with someone else. You have to have someone.
Yeah.
And so when you think of raising a child, God didn't just place his baby in your hands.
Right.
You created this child.
Right.
Yeah.
And so in creating that child and you needing another being in order to procreate, why would you not need another being in order to help you raise a child?
Right. Right.
And even to go a step further, why is it that you have, again, biologically speaking, a man and a woman raising a child? A mother and a father bring something different to that child.
It's a balance.
It's a balance.
For sure.
Yeah.
There is definitely a balance.
It's a transfer of energy too.
Yeah.
Like,
that feminine and masculine energy. They need both to balance out. Like, so I think, like you said, you feel like you were better without your dad. I think it's beneficial for the child to have both parents, or, like you said, at least another Another influence, a
just
male
to see a
influence or a
perspective
female
difference.
Right.
Like, I definitely had an overload of one perspective, and that's never like really good, because that brings me to another issue I wanted to bring up a little bit later. Just like how we exhausted that, or what, like whether it's positive or negative for him to be there regardless. How we kind of talked about that enough.
Knowing my situation, I know it's best for him to be at the distance that he is at, where he is accessible, he has open access to his child, but knowing the issues that he is going through, it is best that my child be with me, and for the majority of the time. But that does not mean that I in any way prevent him from seeing, talking to his dad. When he's mentally there and present and he wants to see him, he can. But I know that seeing him on an everyday basis, my child would have a different experience for his childhood,
Right.
which is another reason we're not together. So if it wasn't good for me, then why would it be good for my child? So the distance that they have and still maintaining a relationship for him, I think, is what is best. But he also has my brothers and my dad to give that balance, because he is with me most of the time. So knowing my personal situation and his dad's situation, it is best that he not spend every day with him.
But he still get a masculine energy,
right?
Which is
from
good.
multiple sources.
And everybody always says, a woman can't raise a man.
Right.
I feel like I can raise a good person. I may not be able to teach him how to pee standing up, but I can raise him.
You can try.
I could try.
It mess up all your genes.
But I can teach him to be a good human being. But there are going to be certain things that he experiences as a young adolescent male that I'm not going to be able to explain to him or talk to him about, other than on a biological level. This is what is happening to your body.
Right.
The first time he wakes up and it's like, whoa, what's that?
Right.
He needs to be able to have a conversation with someone who can relate to him. And I'm not going to be that person, but I need to have that person available to him. So whether that's his father, that's his uncles, his grandfather, someone who can explain to him what's going on, because there's going to be a lot that I can tell you how I think about it, but he may not be able to relate to.
Are you dating anyone?
Yeah.
Okay. Is the guy you're dating, is he a part of your son's life?
As much as I allow him to be.
Okay. Because I was going to say that's important too. I think if the parents aren't together, it's very important that they can see what a healthy relationship looks like, so that they know when they go out, this is healthy, oh, this is not healthy. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is toxic, this is not, this don't feel good, I ain't see this, like, this is not what I'm used to, so I think that's important too. But then being a single parent and dating is so hard.
It is.
Because you're like, do I want to introduce
you're
this
not
person
even just
to my
dating for you,
kid,
you're
man?
dating for you and them.
Do I want, like, damn it, man.
It's hard.
Really, that's a whole different conversation. I was just about to say,
but back
who's
to
really
what
worth
you had
dating?
said about, what did you say right before that about dating?
I said,
a healthy relationship.
Yeah,
but I think there's ways to, even if you're not dating. I know before I was dating someone consistently that I would have around my child, I was always very mindful of how I spoke to his dad, or especially in front of him, or what I would say about his dad, or what I would allow others to say about him in front of him, because I don't want for him to think that it's right to have a woman who is disrespectful, or who's always cussing or yelling or fussing at you. Like, that's not the norm, and it shouldn't be your normal. I don't want him to see that.
There's places where that's illegal, like bad mouthing the other spouse to the kid. It's illegal.
You shouldn't do that,
because it's like
he shouldn't see that and think that that's the way a relationship, even on a basic level of just between a man and a woman, is supposed to be.
Right.
So just being mindful of what you say about your child's father, how you speak to them, especially in front of the child, is important.
I agree.
And I think that teaches them a lot. I wouldn't, if he brought somebody home who was popping off at the mouth and couldn't, I would be protective of him. That's my baby. You don't talk to my son like that.
Right.
So why would I talk to his father like that? If that's not the example I want to set for him and want for him to see.
We talked about, because y'all both have sons, but can you kind of talk about the effects of not having a father around for your female children? What's the difference that you see from male to female?
Oh, it's tough because like Maya's 14, so I notice with her she don't trust like a lot as far as like.
How do you even spot that? That's crazy.
I guess I don't know. I know my child, but like I just like, you know, because before I was married to Isaiah's dad, and then when we split.
He wasn't really pointing at that.
Oh, my bad.
Pointed at you,
I need to sit it on something.
Yeah,
to like. I don't know how much battery is that left. 32 is cool. Prop it for me. When me and James split, her dad was incarcerated. So when me and James split, it was like tough for her because he didn't carry the relationship on with her. And so I noticed right then, I was like, dang, like I could just tell, because sometimes she would be like, well, when my son would leave, she would ask like, well, can I go too? And I had to tell her no, and that hurt me because it's like, dang, like I don't want to, and I'm like, she's too young to understand, like,
why,
you know, right? And so I would have to tell her like, no, you can't go, like, or nah, you can't go this time, or Isaiah's just going over there with his dad. She would always just kind of look at me like, that's my dad too, though. Like, even though it's not my dad, it's still my dad. And so I noticed after that, her attitude towards men just kind of changed. Like, she would just be like, just like, whatever. Like, and then when her dad came home, I think there was a lot of promises that he made while he was incarcerated that he wasn't able to fulfill when he came home because he had to get on his feet. And so with him breaking so many promises, she's just kind of like, whatever. Like, yeah, okay. Like,
I remember getting to that point with like my dad, and I felt like that was the worst part, because you can salvage something when you still feel something, but when you don't feel nothing, you just go numb. It's just like, it's no way to even salvage it because it's not even nothing's anchored on to.
And I feel like as a female, if you don't have that male energy, you're gonna always search for that. Or you might look in like the wrong places, or you're just gonna be searching for that. You'll either be like too submissive to masculine energy, or you'll be like non-submissive at all, where it's like, boy, you is not my dad. No. You know, where it's like, no, I'll take care of my own self. Like, I don't need you to do nothing. But I think it's so important because they say like a girl's first love is her father, and it's his responsibility to teach her how she is supposed to be loved and expected to be treated by every man she encounters. And I know I have friends who have like real good dads, and their tolerance level was totally different. Like for relationships, like
what they'll put up with.
Yeah,
like for me personally, I didn't have my biological father, but I had my stepdad and my grandfather, and I think the difference that you see is once you've been treated well and you know what to expect or how you should be treated, you tolerate less.
Yeah.
And even if you find yourself in a situation where you've become tolerant of something that you shouldn't be, you still have someone there to say, no, this ain't it.
Right.
And help guide you in a different direction, or just be there to support you while you figure it out yourself.
If that's what you want to deal with. Yeah.
When I was younger, I know my grandfather completely overcompensated for the fact that my biological father wasn't there. So I've never needed or wanted for anything, even after his death. But when it came to my father, the expectation of a relationship, I was numb from a child and as a teenager. And I got pissed as an adult to see my stepdad came into the picture and did everything that you were supposed to do. And then I had a child, and to see how much love I have for my child, why would you choose not to be there? Nothing was physically keeping you away
from being there. Yeah.
And then you reach out to me when you're sick.
That's crazy. That's a crazy thing.
You reach out to me when you're sick because you want to make amends. And my mother's there saying, well, you know, he is your father and blah, 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 and the Christian thing to do. The only thing I wanted to look at him and say